From Software is a Japanese video game company founded in November 1986. There wasn't much heard from them until they released their first hit title, an action RPG by the name of Kingsfield. Now, Kingsfield was released in Japan in 1994. It never saw a US release. Kingsfield 2 was released in Japan in 1995 under the name Kingsfield here in the US. And then in 1996, Kingsfield 3 was released in Japan, known as Kingsfield 2 here in the US. But for From's next endeavor, it would be something quite different. Armored Core was released on October 31st, 1997. It was a third-person shooter. In the game, players piloted mechs, known as Armored Cores, or ACs for short. In the game's opening cutscene, players could see that this game was vastly different from the old Kingsfield. It involved futuristic robots that you could customize to your liking, and was way ahead of its time. From the start screen, players could either select Versus Mode or Scenario Mode. Once selecting Scenario Mode, you could enter your own pilot name, and after entering your pilot name, you're given a screen that said, you're about to undergo a test. If you live, you become a Raven. If you die, well, you die. After a brief loading screen, players are right away thrown into the fray. The first thing players would notice is the weird control scheme that was unique to this game. The L and R buttons controlled strafing and up and down, the D-pad controlled turning and going forward and backwards, and there was a boost button, a weapon change button, a main weapon button, and a blade button. If you survived the test, from that point on you were known as a Raven. Once players got to the main menu, the first thing they would notice is the garage. Now the garage is the pinnacle part of the AC series. This is where all your customization took place. You customize your head, your arms, your core, your inside parts like generators and radiators, all your weapons, and your leg tights between bipedal, quadrupedal, reverse joint, and your paint scheme. And yes, even your own custom decals to whatever your heart's desire would be. There's a shop where players can buy and sell AC parts they acquire throughout the game. And then there's the mail system. The mail system acts as the primary plot driver throughout the game. This is where you get all your pertinent information in regards to missions you complete and the storyline. This is also where you're introduced to R. Now we don't know who R is, all we know he's going to be our contact throughout the game, relaying information to us. Next is the ranking system. Here players can see how their fellow Ravens are ranked in numerical order. Ravens are ranked according to their battle prowess and how they do in missions. We'll do more on that later though. For now we're going to go to the mission side. From the start, players can see they have a choice between two missions. There is no set storyline. Players get to choose how they progress throughout the game. Now once players choose a mission, they are given who is the one requesting it and what the reward is for completing the mission. They are then given a basic idea of how the mission is supposed to go, some pictures of how things are supposed to look, and the battle conditions for success. Missions generally consisted of blowing stuff up, whether it be blowing up MTs known as muscle tracers, or blowing up some control panels in a building, or blowing up some organisms in a cave, or blowing up some of your fellow ACs, which was important because in order to progress through the ranking system you had to defeat other Ravens in order to attain the coveted #1 rank. There are also the defense missions. These are often the most begrudged because often what you were defending seemed to have the structural durability of a piece of paper. There were also some of the more memorable missions such as destroying the massive MT known as Devastator. As you progress throughout the game, you get new mail, and eventually you'll get a message with the title Human Plus. Now Plus is the process of where Ravens undergo surgery replacing organs with advanced technology to enhance their abilities, hence the term Plus. It is supposedly being introduced by Murakumo. Now eventually you get a mission by Murakumo to destroy an ex-Raven who was having Plus experiments done to him and had escaped. After a brief battle, as the ex-Raven is blowing up, he gives you a message saying, "Raven, watch out, you too," giving an ominous foreshadowing of what was to come. After a mission where you're instructed to recover a capsule, Chrome discovers this capsule was technology left behind from the Great Destruction, and that Murakumo did not create the Human Plus technology, in fact it came from the Great Destruction. R then drops you a line talking about how the Human Plus experiments are unstable, and referring to that man, though we don't know who that is yet exactly, and Chrome once again expresses to you their concerns, that maybe human plus technology is not the only thing that Murakumo may have discovered from the Great Destruction. After totally eliminating the terrorist group known as Struggle, you are given a mission at the request of a fellow Raven by the name of Boss Savage. And as you can see, it has really horrible grammar and spelling. What do you say, yous help me out? What a little job I'd taken, and it makes no sense. And you find out he's going to pay you all the money he's getting paid to find this artifact that apparently is now lost at the bottom of the sea. And it's your job to destroy these MTs to give him time to find it. And it says never endless MTs. And it's the truth. They're never endless MTs. If you just sit back and try to destroy them all, they'll never stop coming. But you'll eventually discover that you don't have to destroy the MTs at all. In fact, as you get to the end of the level, you'll find a little room. And it's an escape pod. And once you enter the escape pod, the mission ends. And of course, since you got the advance of 35,000 credits, it doesn't matter, you didn't complete the supposed mission. Once you get back, you have new mail, and it's from sender ? Apparently this person never expected to make it back from this mission. Now it's assumed that since Boss Savage hired you, it's him, but there's actually something much more sinister at work here. After destroying the massive MT, destroying Boss Savage, you're given a mission called Destroy Floating Mines, which supposedly has no enemy forces. You just have mines to blow up. But as you enter the first door, there's obviously a lot of people trying to kill you. After you destroy all the MTs in this room, you go through it, a little hallway and then a door, and you go down an elevator. Once down the elevator, you go through another doorway, you enter a new room where the floating mines are. There's also some MTs for you to destroy, and once the MTs are destroyed, it goes to a cutscene of some random door opening, and then this happens. The screen literally goes blank for about 8 seconds. There's no reason given why, it just does. And when it comes back up, suddenly it's like you're starting a new mission. Your AP is restored, your ammo is restored, and you have no idea what's going on. And you get this message saying, stop such foolishness. Once you go into the next room, you realize that it's a very tall room with a bunch of floating computerized cubes. And you soon discover you have to traverse your way through them all the way to the top. Now these cubes move, they are not stationary, and there's also a few emplacement turrets shooting you, making your way more difficult. But eventually you make your way to the top, and you arrive at a hallway. When you arrive to this hallway, you're given another message by the same guy saying resistance is futile, and that your fate is sealed. And then your comm comes over saying, Ace identified as 9-Ball. The number 1 ranked Raven has a red AC with a grenade launcher, laser blade, and rapid fire laser. You would think it'd be difficult, but the Karasok can make pretty quick work of him, as you can see here. Now you're thinking, well, that's no big deal, I defeated the number 1 ranked Raven. Well, after proceeding further through the maze of a level, you come to another shaft. And at the bottom of this shaft, you get another message saying, go back, it's not too late. Wondering, who is this guy who keeps giving me messages? Well, guess what? There's another 9-Ball. You're probably thinking, I just destroyed this guy not that long ago, but here he is again, with the same weapon, same AC, same color. Once you destroy him, you get another message saying, what is your wish? After you go down this hallway with the lighted bridge you saw earlier going up from the tall room, you come to a computer that has a target thing assigned to it. After taking a look around, as you can see, it's just what looks to be a massive computer. Eventually, with nothing else to do, you decide, you know what, it says target, I'm going to destroy it. So that's exactly what you do. You destroy it. The ending cutscene consists of various videos of the machine you just destroyed blowing up. As you can tell from his voice at the end, you can see that this computer was the one sending you those messages. And after further digging, you can find out that 9-Ball is actually an AI. And that this AI is that computer. And that computer is actually R, your supposed Raven's Nest contact who gave you all the information. And it's later assumed that he was the one who sent you on the mission with the bad grammar and never expected you to come back, and was also the one who gave you the mission, destroy the floating mines, in an attempt to lure you in and destroy you. And that is the end of the game. Once players get back to the main screen, they can go to the rankings part, and they can see that they should now be ranked number 1. When you go over to the Missions tab, you will now notice that you have access to every single mission in the game, even the ones you skipped. which is extremely important because you need to complete all these missions in order to get your 100% completion rating, and also to get some of the many hidden parts that the game has to offer. One of which is the most powerful gun of the game, the WG-1 Kurosawa, Utter Destruction. You also can find the Moonlight, the signature blade in the game. But there is another part of this game that can be very easily missed, mostly because it's counterintuitive to what most gamers think you should do. It requires you to purposely do bad in missions. See, in Armored Core, what you had to do is that you had to finish a mission, and at the end of the mission, you had to incur a debt of negative 50,000 or more. Once you did that, you were entreated to a cutscene. Now, in this cutscene, you can see that you see some doctors talking about that you are now a subject for an experiment, and that you are a raven. And unfortunately, you impaled a bunch of debt. And now you're going to be reborn through some experiments, which you later find out is that you now become a human plus experiment. Once you get back from the cutscene, you have new mail. And you notice it's the same mail you got when you first started the game. And when you go to your missions tab, it's the same first two missions. That's because effectively your game has reset. Now you still have the parts you acquired earlier in the game, but now you have some certain abilities. You're now human plus, such as the blade wave, higher energy efficiency, a better radar, or being able to fire back cannons while moving. The other component of Armored Core was the multiplayer, which consisted of a versus arena. Two players on the same PlayStation could go against each other in versus matches. Each player could customize their AC to their liking, whether like rapid fire weapons on a lighter, more mobile AC, or heavier weapons on a heavier, more defensive AC. This led to many customizations as to who could build the best AC and pilot it and beat all your friends. From Software had stumbled onto a gold mine. Armored Core was way ahead of its time. With fully rendered 3D models, CGI cutscenes, fast-paced action, and fully customizable mechs, the game was extremely popular in Japan, and was even decently well received in the United States. Armored Core quickly became From Software's most popular series. Armored Core was a brilliant start, and as the game progressed, they made vast improvements to the gameplay, and it was obvious to anyone that Armored Core was just the tip of the iceberg, and it was a sign of many things to come.